Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Out of all the buffs requested for future champions to actually be excitingly playable, Iron Man, or as we like to call him on this channel, Inferior Iron Man, is at the top of the list. And rsagrawal, rsagrawal, sorry about that. I'm going to butcher your name. Has put in the work to make Inferior Iron Man the real Superior Iron Man. So given this is the time of morning where no matter how hard I try, the sun is going through my blinds, we are going to do you the favor of not having to stare at that and get rid of my webcam for this. So, see ya! Alright, about Iron Man. He's got their tech. Armor break, armor up, suit on. Iron Man's mechanics. Iron Man gains access to a ton of utility through some cutting-edge technology that is built within his sleek fashion suit. In addition to this, the sheer strength of his suit breaks the armor of all forms of opponents, even those who think their armor is superior and can't be broken, thus dealing some serious damage to his opponents. Strengths, armor break. Don't be fooled by the low reduction in armor rating by Iron Man's armor break. When many armor breaks are active on his opponent, Iron Man can deal some massive damage. These armor breaks also bypass debuff immunity, armor break immunity, and armor shatter immunity. That is awesome. Strong immunities. Iron Man's cutting edge grants him a ton of immunities, helping him to counter a lot of nodes and champions, especially knowing champions who activate those debuffs every now and then. So does that mean like triple immunity? I don't know. Weaknesses. Purify. Even though Iron Man's armor breaks ignore debuff immunity, armor break immunity, and armor shatter immunity, they don't ignore purify mechanisms. If the opponent can purify armor breaks, then Iron Man's damage gets significantly reduced. Ability accuracy modification. Iron Man has a 50% chance to fail abilities that modify ability accuracy, but in the other 50%, he can be inflicted with such abilities, and if that happens, then Iron Man may not be able to trigger armor breaks as he pleases, thus hindering his damage output. Kabam likes to use the word thus, so this feels pretty realistic. Abilities. Passive. Iron Man's suit fitted with cutting-edge technology makes him immune to bleed, poison, incinerate, cold snap, frostbite, armor break, armor shatter, reverse controls, and regeneration rate modification. Now that is amazing. He has a 50% chance to fail abilities that modify his ability accuracy. The sheer strength of his suit prevents his opponents from blocking unblockable attacks, even if the opponent has unblockable immunity. His senses allow him to detect his opponent's reflexes and when they have created decoys, thus ignoring evade, miss, and auto-block abilities. Kind of makes me think of Falcon, right? Unless otherwise stated, Iron Man's armor breaks remove an armor up buff from the opponent, reduce their armor rating by 202.7 per armor break, and last 20 seconds, max stacks of 60. Iron Man's protection protocol also grants him an indefinite armor up buff, raising armor rating by 1,723.8. When he loses this armor up, he regains it after 8 seconds. Developer note, Iron Man has bleed and armor break immunity. If he gets lucky with his 50% chance of failing ability accuracy modification, he becomes a solid counter for Magneto despite being a metal champion. That's a very fascinating point, developer. Suit up. Iron Man starts the fight with his suit and his inbuilt AI active. Or I guess I should say built-in AI active. This is unaffected by ability accuracy modification. While it is active, he gains access to 4 cutting-edge technologies as listed below. Missile, using the combo medium, light, 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 medium. I love that combo. Activates this technology when used. Inflict a passive stun on the opponent lasting 4 seconds. Also makes me think of Shang-Chi. Mini Repulsor Ray, using the combo medium, light, light, medium, activates this technology when used. Inflict a shock debuff, dealing 2,345.6 energy damage, over 8 seconds, and an indefinite resistance down passive, reducing energy and physical resistance by 341.2 each. Can we agree that the write-ups like this are just amazing because it takes so much time and effort to make this, and yet we have members of the community, despite all the bugs, all the problems, that want to do this. I mean, that just shows the commitment to how much people want to see buffed champions, particularly OG buff champions like Inferior Iron Man. Metal Punch, using the combo medium, light, medium, activates this technology. When used, gain an unblockable buff lasting 4 seconds and preventing opponents from blocking any attack. It also bypasses unblockable immunity. Power Arc, using the combo medium-medium, activates this technology when used to gain a power gain buff, granting 2 bars of power over 20 seconds. That can come in handy. This also makes me think a little bit of Black Widow Clairvoyant. Technological Evade, ending any combo with a light attack, activates his AI danger detection system, which grants him an evade passive lasting 4 seconds, and granting a 100% chance to evade. This evade triggers even while Iron Man is stunned, in which case he purifies that stun effect. This evade does not trigger while blocking. Fascinating. Once used, these technologies get deactivated, but they can be refreshed by landing a heavy attack on the opponent. Oh, so no cooldown. It's a heavy. Each time Iron Man uses a technology, he inflicts an armor break debuff. Iron Man's suit-up mechanism is similar to that of Shang-Chi's mechanism. Made me think of that. Except that Iron Man activates the technology even when ending a combo with a light attack, thus granting him more utility than Shang-Chi. The technological evade purifies passive stuns as well. Heavy attacks refresh the duration of Iron Man's armor break. I almost called him Armor Break Man. Maybe that's his new nickname. Refreshes the duration of one armor break counts as inflicting an armor break for his abilities. Refreshes all technologies. If all technologies were unused before inflicting a heavy attack, use all of them at the same time and then refresh them. This ability of using up all technologies doesn't trigger against Cosmic Champions and doesn't trigger more than twice per fight. This attack helps to refresh his armor breaks for the juicy damage he intends to deal. The fact that refreshing of armor breaks counts as inflicting them makes Iron Man's job much easier for raising his attack for the massive damage from his special 2. This attack is also a great way to use all technologies in non-cosmic situations where you don't want to waste time on inflicting one technology at a time. Special 1, Mega Repulsor Ray. This attack inflicts 10 armor breaks on the opponent. It also inflicts a debuff based on the technology used just before using this special attack. If no technology was used, the debuff inflicted is based on the missile technology, and the missile inflicts a stun debuff lasting 3 seconds. The mini repulsor ray inflicts a shock debuff. Lots of shock damage for this Iron Man. In this case, dealing 4,752 energy damage over 10 seconds. Metal Punch inflicts a weak block debuff, reducing block proficiency by 70% for 20 seconds. Power Arc inflicts a power vulnerability debuff for the last 20 seconds on the opponent. Technological Evade inflicting confusion debuff, lasting 20 seconds, reversing parrying and heavy controls. Developer note the special 1 is the primary way Iron Man will inflict debuffs other than his personal armor breaks to use this special attack to weaken opponents who have high block proficiency or power gain. Special 2, the Mighty Uni Beam. Raise attack rating by 10% for this attack for each armor break ever inflicted by Iron Man. Armor Break Man in the fight, max plus 900%. This increases to plus 1,000% against mutant champions, but is reduced to 800% against cosmic champions. Gain a powerful passive, granting immunity to all forms of power manipulations for 40 seconds. That's a long time. If the opponent has a damage cap, deal 5 bursts of damage, each equivalent to the normal damage dealt. That's interesting. Wow. This is the main source of Iron Man's damage. I prefer to spam a special 1 to get 10 armor breaks, then spam multiple heavy attacks, and then activate the special for some more damage. Special 3, you think you are smarter, think again. This attack inflicts 20 armor breaks, and Iron Man also gains a buff based on the technology used just before using this special attack. If no technology was used, gain the buff based on the missile technology. Gosh, such amazing details. Okay, missile regen buff, mini repulsor ray, disruptor buff, metal punch, fury buff, power arc, replicator buff, technological evade, mastered senses buff. This special attack is the primary way of Iron Man gaining buffs other than armor up. This attack comes useful in situations like buffed up or when you want to heal an unawakened Iron Man. Oh, so he even has healing power unawakened. Signature ability, the power of the billionaire. Once per fight, when Iron Man's health drops below 20%, his healing factor grants him an armor up buff, raising armor rating by 2033, and a regeneration buff. So he still gets that regen that we actually enjoyed his original abilities to be with that arc overload. Synergy bonuses, Captain America, are you the leader or am I? Iron Man gains immediate shock effects, interesting. Cap, when Captain America is successful in perfectly blocking any of the opponent's attacks, gain an indefinite fury buff. That's good for him. OG Hulk and Avengers Assembles. Recommended masteries, as it always should be, Parry, Despair, and that appears to finally be it. Wow. My goal was to keep this under 10 minutes, and I just did that thanks to this summoner's amazing work on this. I really am enjoying these write-ups being featured on my channel as it showcases the passion so many of you have for the game. Thank you again, Mr. rsagrawal. Sorry I butchered your name about 5 times, but at least we kept this video under 10 minutes for those pesky triple ads.